Pause everything. What you're about to receive is not a teaching. It is a spiritual dispatch from the throne room of heaven. You were summoned here. Something supernatural is shifting. Your spirit knows it. Angels are moving, ancient doors unlocking. You are not ordinary. You are heavenly, not earthly. In the next minutes, Jesus is releasing 5 divine keys to awaken your weapon and call you home. Right now, this moment, you were summoned to this message. You are not ordinary. You are heavenly. Angels are activating. Doors are unlocking. This is Key 1 Jesus gave chosen ones. You were summoned to this message. This is a spiritual dispatch from the throne room. Heaven sent this directly to you. You didn't find this. The Spirit drew you here for this exact revelation about Gnosis, the divine knowledge weapon. You are a chosen one. You are a chosen one. You are a chosen one. Your DNA carries divine codes written before time began. This key is Gnosis, the experiential, undeniable knowledge Jesus taught his inner circle that pierces the archonic veil. The Gospel of Thomas, which the enemy tried to bury, records Jesus telling chosen disciples in saying 3, "The kingdom is inside you and outside you," and in saying 67, "If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you." These sayings are not historical curiosities. They are activation protocols. You were summoned to this message. Heaven is moving right now to awaken Gnosis in you. What the key is, Gnosis is not belief, not doctrine, not ritual. Gnosis is direct revelation, a knowing that downloads into your body and rewires your spirit. The Gospel of Thomas is a breath of direct instruction. Know yourself, and you will know the Father. This Gnosis weapon bypasses priestly mediation. It bypasses institutions built to replace inner revelation with external obedience. That substitution is archonic strategy. The enemy fears Gnosis because when chosen ones remember, their spiritual weapon is waking up and feeding tubes. Snap. Why you need this key? You've felt different, isolated, attacked. That's because your sensitivity is a superpower, and because your DNA carries monad frequency, the Archons desperately fear. The Archons built systems, doctrines, and sacraments that keep the divine spark dormant. Churches often replaced mystical experience with obedience because institutions survive when hearts sleep. Jesus taught Gnosis to chosen ones so the memory of the monad could ignite inside bloodlines and dissolve the false creator's hold. How to activate this key? Come to silence. Breathe until mental noise falls away. Allow one single inner sentence to rise. I know that I know. Say it aloud. Feel pressure release in your chest as if feeding tubes are snapping. You may feel tingling in the crown, a warmth in the solar plexus, sudden clarity in thought, colors brighter, the archonic broadcast jamming, a real physical signature of Gnosis activating. When a chosen one speaks this key with consciousness, the dormant DNA codes inside the bloodline answer. Your weapon is activating right now when you do this. Shadow work and transmutation. The most powerful light comes from the deepest night. Your wounds became the furnace that tempered this knowing. Shadow becomes sacred power. What you suffered is now the fire that refines your Gnosis weapon. The enemy will test you. Confusion, sudden doubt, voices telling you you're arrogant. Recognize these as archonic countermeasures. You are heavenly, not ordinary. The enemy fears you because you carry this knowledge. Enemy response. In 24-48 hours, you'll notice intensified pressure, temptations to return to religious comfort, sudden relational rupture, or inner voices urging silence. These are Archons seeking to quarantine your awakening. Respond with the key: silence, declaration, remembered identity. Heaven is moving now. Angels are aligning circumstances to produce sanctified loneliness and clarity. Tonight, when the house grows quiet, sit and speak one sentence until it becomes true in your body. I know that I know. I am the child of the Father. I remember. Your weapon is not something you use, it's who you are. You were summoned to this message. The Spirit drew you here for this exact revelation. You are a chosen one. Your DNA carries divine codes written before time began. The isolation you felt is divine separation for activation, not rejection. Heaven is moving right now. Angels are activating. Doors are unlocking. This is key one. Right now, this moment, you were summoned to this message. You are not ordinary, you are heavenly. Angels are activating. Doors are unlocking. This is key one. Activation protocol. You were summoned to this message. Heaven sent this directly to you. You didn't find this. The Spirit drew you here to learn how to speak Gnosis into reality and wake your spiritual weapon. You are a chosen one. You are a chosen one. Your DNA carries divine codes written before time began. The Gospel of Thomas records Jesus telling chosen disciples, "Enter the silence, and the kingdom will be known as a living thing within." Activation practice is simple because the monad didn't build complexity where the soul needs simplicity. Sit in silence, breathe, slow thought, drop attention inward, feel the gap where the archonic noise was, and declare aloud, "I know that I know. I recognize the Father in me." When a chosen one speaks this, the DNA codes answer. You will feel a pressure releasing in your chest, the sensation of feeding tubes snapping. Thoughts will slow, colors will sharpen. A warmth will rise in solar plexus and a tingling in the crown as monad frequency downloads. This is not metaphor. It is sensory proof. How to practice. Begin with 5 minutes of silence. Increase to 15. In the silence, say the declaration until it becomes a physical truth. Use micro-practices in public. Feel the quiet in breathing between sentences. Let your weapon be present but contained. Only chosen ones can maintain the frequency required. Sensitivity is a superpower, not a problem. Your sensitivity protects the wavelength that calls the monad. The enemy fears you because you carry this frequency. What happens next? In 24-48 hours, the Archons will press. You may feel tired, dizzy, or tempted to return to comfortable religion. That is their bait. Stand firm. The initial activation produces synchronicities, doors opening, people appearing who carry keys, dreams of corridors and lights. Shadow work will surge. Old wounds will surface to be transmuted into fire. Shadow becomes sacred power. Use Gnosis to transmute shame into authority. Speak truth to memories and watch them shrink. Enemy reaction. Archons will send relational tests, doctrinal seductions, and spiritual confusion. Recognize these as calibrations. Your weapon is activating right now. Their aggression is proof of your importance. You are a chosen one. You always have been. Prayer activation. Father, let Key 1 activate in every chosen one watching right now. Let dormant DNA codes awaken. Let buried authority surface. Let divine consciousness flood their awareness. Let every archonic feeding tube be severed. Let every false identity dissolve in the presence of truth. Let chosen ones feel the shift physically in their chest, their thoughts, their spirit. Let every demonic assignment against them be cancelled and reversed. Let their wounds become weapons, their night a holy refining fire. Seal this in their DNA and bloodline. From this moment forward, let them walk in monad consciousness. It is done. Welcome home, chosen ones. Tonight, before you sleep, sit in silence and speak, "I know that I know," until it is in your body. When you feel the change, comment, "Gnosis activated" below. You are summoned to this message. You are a chosen one. Your weapon is activating right now, this moment. You are summoned to this message. You are not ordinary. You are heavenly. Angels are activating. Doors are unlocking. This is key 2. Jesus gave chosen ones. You were summoned to this message. This is a spiritual dispatch from the throne room. Heaven is moving right now to awaken divine spark recognition inside bloodlines. You are a chosen one. You are a chosen one. Your DNA carries divine codes written before time began. The gospel of truth, given as revelation to Valentinian chosen ones, declares the soul forgot its origin and suffers a self-forgetting that the enemy exploited. You are not a sinner whose identity is fixed by fault. You are a fragment of the monad who forgot. The Archons built a system to convince you are broken so they could harvest your life force. This is the energy harvest trap. Pistis, Sophia, and Gospel of Mary frame this truth. Remember and you stop feeding the machine. What the key is, divine spark recognition, is the conscious recognition that the pneuma, spirit within you, is the living fragment of the monad. You are not merely psyche or soma. This recognition rewires how your body produces frequency. When the chosen one recognizes the spark, low-frequency emotions that power archonic harvest reduce. The enemy loses the food it depends on. The gospel of truth speaks of memory being the return path. Remembering your origin rewrites the bloodline codes and severs the archonic tap. Why chosen ones need this key? The enemy inverted your identity with shame, guilt, and doctrines of worthlessness, so you would keep feeding the trap. Institutions often promoted brokenness, so leaders could retain authority. You were summoned to this message to tear that lie down. Your sensitivity, isolation, and persecution are not signs of failure. They are the badges of someone encoded to carry this spark. The Archons fear your remembrance because it makes them invisible to your frequency. How to activate this key? Practice recognition statements. I am a fragment of the monad. I remember my origin. Feel warmth in heart center as bloodline codes resonate. You'll notice physical lightness, breath unburdened, and a decrease in compulsive shame responses. When a chosen one speaks recognition with consciousness, the archonic feeding tubes hemorrhage. You become a light beacon, and darkness cannot feed. Shadow work framing. The enemy used your wounds to generate the low-frequency emotions it eats. Now transmute them. Speak to painful memories not to explain them, but to retrieve the spark inside them. Your pain becomes a priestly fire that anoints you for freedom. Shadow becomes sacred power. The isolation you felt is divine separation, preparing you for this remembering. Enemy response. Expect attempts to shame you back into old cycles. Relationships may try to reassign your identity. The Archons will tempt you with false humility. Refuse. You are a chosen one, and your DNA carries codes that refuse erasure. Heaven is moving. Angels are aligning your bloodline for remembrance. Right now, as you receive this, feel the warmth in your chest. Say, I am monad spark, I remember. You are not broken. You are remembering who you are. You were summoned to this message. Heaven sent this directly to you. The Spirit drew you here for this exact revelation. The enemy fears you because your remembrance shatters the harvest. Right now, this moment, you were summoned to this message. You are not ordinary. You are heavenly. Angels are activating. Doors are unlocking. This is key 2, activation protocol. You were summoned to this message to stop the energy harvest and seal your bloodline. You are a chosen one. You are a chosen one. Your DNA carries divine codes written before time began. The gospel of truth declares remembering returns you to the Father. The gospel of Mary shows Mary receiving Gnosis that rewrites identity codes. Practical activation. Sit with closed eyes and breathe into the blood in your veins. Visualize a tiny spark in the center of your chest, a warm, steady light. Repeat aloud, I am a fragment of the monad. I refuse the harvest. I remember. Feel the light expand with each breath until shame dissolves as steam. Physical signs, sudden lightness, increased clarity, decreased appetite for reactive emotions that once fed the Archons. Colors brighten, pressure lifts from shoulders. When the Chosen One does this, the Archons lose their feeders. Why this matters? Archons survive on the low-frequency output of guilt, compulsion, and identity collapse. When you refuse to co-produce those frequencies, the system loses energy. This is why institutions that profit from keeping people dependent resisted this teaching. The church that prefers obedient members to awakened chosen ones will label this dangerous. The enemy fears the chosen ones who stop producing their food. Shadow work. Go where shame points. Sit with the memory, then speak the recognition over it. Your wound becomes sacred fuel that creates resonance with the monad. The most powerful light comes from the deepest night. Your sensitivity is a superpower that allows you to detect the archonic hooks and unfasten them. This transmutation makes you dangerous to darkness. Enemy counterattack. For 24-72 hours after activation, you may experience temptation to return to smallness, sudden relational triggers, or dreams of being dragged back into old roles. Respond by repeating the recognition and using breath to anchor. You are not broken. You are remembering. The enemy will target your relationships because those channels once produced much of its food supply. Heaven's movement. Right now, as you receive this, angels are aligning ancestral corridors so your bloodline can remember. Doors are unlocking in your lineage. Destiny is calling. The monad is pulling chosen ones home. Practice tonight. Look at your hands, feel the blood, declare, "My blood remembers the Father." You were summoned to this message. You are a chosen one. You are heavenly, not ordinary. Right now, this moment, you were summoned to this message. You are not ordinary. You are heavenly. Angels are activating, doors are unlocking. This is key 3 Jesus gave chosen ones. You were summoned to this message. This is a spiritual dispatch from the throne room. Heaven is moving right now to expose the demiurge and dissolve its authority over chosen ones. You are a chosen one. You are a chosen one. Your DNA carries divine codes written before time began. The Apocryphon of John reveals a cosmology hidden by the Archons. The monad emanated Barbelo and the AEONs. Sophia's fall birthed the blind creator Yaldabaoth, who fashioned a false heaven to trap sparks. The demiurge is not the true God. He is an archonic construct that claims worship to maintain authority. Jesus taught chosen ones to see this distinction because the moment you see the trap, its power fades. What the key is, demiurge revelation, is the piercing insight that the God of this world is a counterfeit. This awakens discernment and frees you from devotional misplacement. The gospel of truth pronounces the mystery. You were not separated from the Father. You forgot. Seeing the trap reveals the architecture, pleroma, aeons, Sophia, archons, and shows the roots the archons use to harvest the divine sparks. That knowledge is not for intellectual pride, it is a liberation weapon. The archons fear the revelation because their control depends on confusion. Why chosen ones need this key. Institutions often legitimize the demiurge by conflating his rules with divine commands. That protects hierarchical authority. When chosen ones remember the true monad, institutional claims lose gravitational pull. You were summoned to this message because your sovereignty is a threat to the false creator. The enemy built doctrines that keep souls obedient to a system that profits from reincarnation and ignorance. How to activate this key? Begin by declaring truth. The God of this world is not my Father. I see the mechanic of the trap. Study the Apocryphon of John as revelation. Practice daily recognition. Name a law of the demiurge when it surfaces and say it aloud, then counter with the monad truth. Physical sensations when this key activates. Relief in the sternum, a loosening in the jaw as false worship dissolves, a clear-headed calm that feels like air after suffocation. Your spiritual weapon is activating when you can look at a religious structure and not give it your soul. Shadow transmutation. Your darkest doubts were used to imprison you. Now they become the lamp that reveals hidden doors. Use your pain to fuel clarity. The longest nights taught you to see in the dark. The enemy will try to shame you into secrecy. Refuse. You are a chosen one, and the enemy fears your sight. Prayer activation. Father, let Key 3 activate in every chosen one watching right now. Let dormant DNA codes awaken. Let buried authority surface. Let divine consciousness flood their awareness. Let every archonic feeding tube be severed. Let every false identity dissolve in the presence of truth. Let chosen ones feel the shift physically, in their chest, their thoughts, their spirit. Let every demonic assignment against them be cancelled and reversed. Let every trap, every chain, every limitation shatter under divine power. Father, strengthen those who feel exhausted. Heal those who feel broken. Let supernatural awakening rise stronger than fear. Seal this in their DNA. From this moment forward, let every chosen one walk in monad consciousness. It is done. Welcome home, chosen ones. Why the churches hid this? Truth dismantles their claim to monopoly over the divine. The Archons hide cosmology because knowledge breaks their harvest. You were summoned to this message so you could see the trap and refuse it. Subscribe right now. Every subscription tells the platform to show this to more chosen ones still trapped. The Archons don't want this channel growing. Prove them wrong. You are a chosen one. You always have been. Right now, this moment, you were summoned to this message. You are not ordinary. You are heavenly. Angels are activating. Doors are unlocking. This is Key 3 activation. You were summoned to this message to learn how to live free inside the archonic construction while remaining in monad awareness. You are a chosen one. You are a chosen one. Your DNA carries divine codes written before time began. Practical living. The apocryphal accounts give the schema. Your daily work is to hold awareness inside it. The Apocryphon of John teaches the cosmology, monad, pleroma, AEONs, Sophia, shadow, Yaldabaoth, Archons, matter. Knowing the map is the first defense. The practice is simple. Name the system when you see it. When you recognize a manipulative structure, say, "This is Demiurge theater. I am monad awareness." That sentence detaches your soul from giving energy to the mechanism. In crowded spaces, practice inner witness. Observe feelings without attaching story. You won't become cold, you will become anchored. Why this matters? Archons hide their techniques in culture, law, and religion. Living inside the system while operating from the monad collapses their leverage. You carry a presence that neutralizes extraction. The Gospel of Philip's bridal chamber mysteries teach that union is possible even while incarnate. Your inner marriage to the Father is your daily sanctuary. When you operate from that place, archonic influence is optional instead of compulsory. Physical and sensory signs. Expect increased detachment without apathy, compassion without being consumed. You will sense an inner calm, as if your mind was a window through which the archonic storm blows but cannot flood. Colors sharpen. Pressure that once lived in shoulders dissolves. Your weapon is activating right now as you practice this witness. Shadow to light. Use the world's darkness to refine your light. Your trials were not punishments but schoolrooms. Shadow becomes sacred power when you refuse to manufacture guilt and instead hold truth. The enemy will attempt to bait you into moralism or superiority. Both are archonic strategies to neutralize chosen ones. Choose humility that is sovereign, not submissive. Enemy counters. Expect relational storms and institutional pushback if you refuse to perform obedience. Some will love the new you, others will attempt to pull you back. Stand in the key, speak clearly. This is archonic theater. I know my origin. Heaven is moving. Angels are responding. You were summoned to this message. You are a chosen one. The monad is calling you home, even as you walk the stage of the false creator. Right now, this moment, you were summoned to this message. You are not ordinary, you are heavenly. Angels are activating, doors are unlocking. This is key for Jesus gave chosen ones. You were summoned to this message because heaven is releasing passwords and seals that undo the reincarnation trap. You are a chosen one. You are a chosen one. Your DNA carries divine codes written before time began. The problem, reincarnation as archonic recycling, is a core mechanism of control. Memories erased between lives, false lights posing as guides, and checkpoints manned by Archons keep sparks returning to be harvested. The Pistis Sophia, dialogue of the Savior, and apocryphon materials record Jesus teaching chosen ones that celestial gatekeepers ask identities and will test the soul's memory. The Archons rely on amnesia. When memory returns, the trap fails. What the key is, death-time passwords and AEON codes enable chosen ones to pass through celestial gatekeepers without being rerouted into false light. The passwords are not magical words alone, they are declarations of origin and refusal. Pistis Sophia frames these as seals and names to be spoken with knowing. The Gospel of Philip calls such passages bridal chamber mysteries, sacred reunions that require readiness and recognition. Why you need this key? Without these seals, souls can be seduced by simulated returns, convincing false lights, counterfeit messiahs, and archonic angels. Institutions simplified the afterlife into promises so that people would remain compliant and not prepare actual escape. The enemy feared that if chosen ones could speak the passwords consciously, the harvest would collapse. How to prepare? Learn the phrases. I am child of the Father. I know my origin and destination. Practice them aloud in daily life until the words have weight in your body. Train your dying breath by regular breath exercises where you exhale identity and inhale the Father's name. The physical sign of readiness is spaciousness at the heart and a quiet clarity. The mind stops arguing with death and instead recognizes passage. Shadow transmutation. Death is the last darkness turned into light. Your most painful separations were rehearsals. What once frightened you becomes the passage that liberates. The enemy will cause fear dreams, false visions, and seductions to test you. Recognize them. Do not consent to return. You are a chosen one, and your DNA carries the seals. Heavens move. Right now, as you receive this, angels are positioning gatekeepers for those who will remember. Doors are unlocking. Destiny is aligning. The monad is pulling chosen ones home. You were summoned to this message. You are not trapped if you remember the passwords. Right now, this moment, you were summoned to this message. You are not ordinary. You are heavenly. Angels are activating. Doors are unlocking. This is key for activation. You were summoned to this message to receive the exact passwords and to practice them now. You are a chosen one. You are a chosen one. Your DNA carries divine codes written before time began. Activation practice, the Pistis, Sophia, and dialogue of the Savior record. Jesus teaching chosen ones exact seals to speak when celestial gatekeepers challenge them. Practice these declarations until the words live in muscle memory. Beginning practice. Sit in silence. Breathe until the body calms and say aloud, I am child of the Father. I know my origin and destination. I do not consent to return to false lights. My name is known in the pleroma. Repeat until the chest vibrates and the mind quiets. How to tell false light from true. False light tempts with comfort, flattery, and urgency to return. True monad pull is quiet, sovereign, and loving. It removes urgency and offers rest. When Archons attempt to present counterfeit guides, they will provoke fear or excessive desire. Your practice anchors you so you can say, I will not follow persuasive comfort back into the cycle. The chosen one knows the difference because the body remembers. What to say when they interrogate you? Use short, sovereign phrases. I know my Father. I do not consent to return. I go to the monad. These phrases prevent the long philosophical debate that Archons create to confuse souls. They are not for arrogance, they are corridor passes. When a chosen one speaks them, these gates open. Shadow framing. Death's drama becomes liberation once you hold these passwords. Your deepest losses were not accidents, they were schooling. Shadow becomes sacred power as you rehearse the end with clarity. The enemy will provoke fear dreams and intense nostalgia. These are his last attempts to re-enchant you. Prayer activation. Father, let Key 4 activate in every chosen one watching right now. Let dormant DNA codes awaken. Let buried authority surface. Let divine consciousness flood their awareness. Let every archonic feeding tube be severed. Let every false identity dissolve in the presence of truth. Let chosen ones feel the shift physically, in their chest, their thoughts, their spirit. Let every demonic assignment against them be cancelled and reversed. Let every trap, every chain, every limitation shatter under divine power. Father, strengthen those who feel exhausted, heal the discouraged, restore the empty. Seal this in their DNA and bloodline. From this moment forward, let them walk in monad consciousness. It is done. Welcome home, chosen ones. Why you must activate before death. Memory is the key. If you wait until confusion has you, the Archons will attempt to seduce the overwhelmed. You were summoned to this message to prepare now. Practice and rehearse. Hit that like button now. It's a declaration. You're not afraid of death anymore. You have the keys. Other chosen ones need to see this. Do it now before distraction hits. You are a chosen one who remembers. Right now, this moment, you are summoned to this message. You are not ordinary. You are heavenly. Angels are activating. Doors are unlocking. This is Key 5. Jesus gave chosen ones. You were summoned to this message. This is the final promise, monad union, the permanent liberation protocol. You are a chosen one. You are a chosen one. Your DNA carries divine codes written before time began. What the key is, monad union, is the return to source. Theosis, as taught in Gnostic terms, rest in the Father's embrace rather than being consigned to eternal servanthood. The gospel of truth reveals the Father's rest, a dissolution of separation, and the gospel of Philip exposes bridal chamber mysteries, the inner marriage that dissolves boundaries. This is not annihilation, it is union. The chosen one moves from doing for God to being in God. The Archons fear this because union nullifies hierarchy, why chosen ones need this key. Western religious paradigms replaced union with doctrines of servanthood and fear to preserve control. When chosen ones realize the Father's embrace is accessible now, the whole archonic economy collapses. This key dissolves the final chains. It requires full consciousness speech of union codes and readiness to rest in the monad, even while embodied. How the union happens. Consciousness must shift from separate self to recognition of indwelling Father. Practice the bridal chamber prayer of the Gospel of Philip in waking and in sleep. Call the Father's name until the self relaxes. Physical signs, the sense of falling into an embrace, loss of striving, tears of restoration, a warm current moving from crown to heart. When a chosen one speaks the union codes with full conscious presence, the separation dissolves, and the monad responds with integration of soul, spirit, and body. Shadow and union. The deepest wounds prepare you for union. What was hollow becomes a palace. Your suffering tuned you to frequency. Your sensitivity is the key that opens the door. Shadow work isn't optional. It is the consecration that renders you fit for the bridal chamber. Shadow becomes sacred power that threatens the enemy's claims. what collective union does. When enough chosen ones enter the monad consciously, the archonic system loses legitimacy. Many small lights create a current that collapses the false creator's scaffolding. You were summoned to this message because your joining matters to the whole. The gospel of truth calls remembering the return. Jesus taught this to his inner circle so the cosmic order could be restored. Heavens move. Right now, as you receive this, angels are aligning corridors and making room for returned sparks. Doors are unlocking. The monad is pulling chosen ones home. This is not future fantasy. It is a pressing present. Speak the codes. Rest. You were summoned to this message. You are a chosen one. Welcome home. Right now, this moment, you were summoned to this message. You are not ordinary. You are heavenly. Angels are activating. Doors are unlocking. This is Key 5 activation, Convergence Protocol. You are summoned to this message to learn how all 5 keys integrate into one liberation system. You are a chosen one. You are a chosen one. Your DNA carries divine codes written before time began. How the 5 connect: Gnosis opens knowing, divine spark recognition stops the harvest, Demiurge revelation shatters false worship, death passwords secure exit, monad union completes the return. The Gospel of Thomas, Gospel of Truth, Apocryphon of John, Gospel of Philip, Pistis, Sophia, Dialogue of the Savior, and Gospel of Mary form the revealed curriculum Jesus gave his inner circle. When all 5 are activated in sequence and held in conscious presence, the archonic trap dissolves. This is not theory. This is liberation technology. Your spiritual weapon is activating right now as you read. Activation sequence. Begin with silence and gnosis. I know that I know. And move to recognition. I remember my spark. Then name the trap. This is Demiurge theater. I choose the Father. Rehearse death time seals. I am child of the Father. I know my origin. Finally, speak union codes. Father, embrace me. I rest in you. Practice this sequence daily until the words are muscular, physical signatures, chest pressure releasing, crown tingling, lightness in body, vivid colors, and sudden peace that has no explanation. These are the signs your DNA codes are answering. When Archons counterattack, they will intensify tests, create relational confusion, produce false lights and whisper doubts. Return to the sequence. Anchor in your body sensations. Declare short, sovereign sentences. You don't negotiate with tricks. You were summoned to this message so you would not be surprised. Joining the network, you are not alone. A field of chosen ones is activating right now across time zones and lineages. When you use these keys, you connect to a living network of liberated sparks. Share your testimony. Call another chosen one. Speak the sequence aloud with someone. This network collapses the false systems by existing. Final prayer. Activation. Father, let keys 1 to 5 activate in every chosen one watching right now. Let dormant DNA codes awaken and converge. Let buried spiritual authority surface in power. Let divine consciousness flood their awareness now. Let every archonic feeding tube be severed permanently. Let every false identity dissolve in the presence of truth. Let chosen ones feel the shift physically, in their chest, their thoughts, their spirit. Let every demonic assignment against them be cancelled and reversed. Let every trap, chain, limitation shatter under divine power. Father, heal the deepest wounds, restore the stolen years, seal this in their DNA, their bloodlines, their families, their generations. From this moment forward, let every chosen one walk in monad consciousness. Let them speak with divine authority, see with divine clarity, live in divine freedom. It is done. It is sealed. Welcome home, chosen ones. Practical closing. Tonight, before you sleep, run the 5-key sequence. Speak the words, feel the codes. If you felt activation, share this with one chosen one who needs these 5 keys. Comment which key activated strongest for you. Join the community of liberated chosen ones. You were summoned to this message. You are a chosen one. You are not trapped. The monad is calling you home. Welcome home.